Okay, welcome into the second Outlast pod. I'm Alex, the host and producer of Outlast. I'm joined by co-producer, creative director, location facilitator, head chef, etc., etc. Titles. Jen.
Thank you. Yeah, from the last episode, I have gained a couple of titles that I'm pretty proud of.
Yeah. So, thanks for hopefully listening to the first episode where we did kind of a big, wide tee up of Outlast that we recorded a couple months before filming, and now we're about a month after filming. So you're watching or listening to this video before episode 1 of Outlast comes out. But Outlast is finished, or at least the recording of it is. The players have played, the winner has won, and I'm deep in the edit bay these days, cranking out some episodes. So it's October 7th, and I'm hopeful that, actually I'm not even going to say when I hope that the first episodes come out so that I don't, let people down if it ends up being after that, or I don't tell on myself. So yeah, we've got one more episode. Maybe we'll do one more after this before the actual episodes of the show come out. But at least in this one thing we wanted to do is to kind of give a sort of cast preview. So if you're a big fan of Survivor or shows like it, there's the whole media circuit that the players go on before the game happens, where, you've got Mike Bloom and the like out there on location doing interviews and everything with everyone. We don't, have that level of depth of cast preview stuff, but we do have some bios and our experience with the players. And so we're going to go through all 16 players who played Outlast, who you're going to see on your screens here soon. Talk to you a little bit about them to let you start to get to know them a little bit based on how they filled out their bio and applications and based on what we learned about them. We obviously, this will be spoiler free, of course, not going to spoil anything that happens. This will all be strictly based on how they answered questions and other innocuous stuff. Okay, we'll do Orange Tribe first, and we'll go alphabetically. So first up alphabetically on the Orange Tribe is Adam. Adam, good friend of ours, is the best man at our wedding. So we know Adam really well. He co-hosted a Survivor rewatch pod with me for several years, so definitely has some background knowledge. We can go into his bio and the summary of it in a little more detail, but you want to jump in with anything here?
Yeah, Adam also could be known as Datama, which is his last name. So if I say that, that's who I'm talking about. But Adam's a great guy. I was really excited that he signed up for Outlast because, again, he has so much knowledge of Survivor from rewatching together, and just thought it would be really fun to see him figure out his game. And
yeah, type of guy that is not somebody who struggles socially, is not somebody who is struggling to find things to say or talk about. I think he could strike up a conversation with anyone about anything.
Correct.
And I'm sure that will serve him well. He's, like you said, we've watched a ton of the show together, obviously cares about the strategy, but some of these other players, I would come in expecting them to be like hyper strategic, by the book game bots. I think Adam's here to have a good time too, and isn't afraid to kind of stir things up, create a little chaos for the fun of it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Adam is really good at being a really good friend and a really good person, and he can also be a really funny asshole. Just to get that little smirky smile.
Yeah.
or to, to get an eye roll from our other friend. So I was excited to see what version of Adam we would get and how that would make the game more fun instead of so serious.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He does say in his bio that his self-acknowledged weakness is pure hubris. So we'll see if he's able to, stay grounded long enough to outlast the others. I think I didn't say this ahead of time, but we'll go through the tribe here, and then maybe we'll do some broad sort of talking about the tribe as a whole.
Yeah.
Again, without getting into spoiler territory, talking about what do we see as maybe some connections, some pre-existing or not, how we expect them to do physically, etc. Anything else to add about Adam?
No.
Great. So next up is Anna. We have an Anna and an Anna and a Hannah all playing confusingly. But this is Anna on the Orange Tribe. Anna played... We did a couple virtual Outlast type games, mainly during like pandemic lockdown. And Anna actually won one of our Quarantine Island games. So she comes into Outlast with a similar, although shorter and digital win under her belt already.
Yeah, where she came in with trauma from your father. So that was good. She was worried that he would be there.
Oh, is Gary going to be here?
He said, no.
Yeah, my dad played one of these Quarantine Island games as well. And I guess that I don't really remember them very in great detail, but I guess they were kind of rivals out there. So what do you think about Anna?
Yeah, I, again, know Anna a little bit just from the connections of Quarantine Island and the virtual stuff, but really don't know Anna too well. Have learned a lot more after the weekend, and, she's a mom, and I could see her playing with a lot of heart just from, being a mom. Maybe that's typecasting.
Sure.
But I think she's a really genuine person, but really loves the game.
Yeah, definitely is somebody who loves Survivor, cares about the strategy and the game of it, as evidenced by signing on for something like this a couple times. Yeah, and she's very quick. You'll hear about it in the first 5 minutes of the show, like her acknowledgement of being away from her 3-year-old. I think she calls it like a vacation or something like that. But, obviously not the only thing about her. She's big on puzzles. I think that she's also somebody who is very warm, very approachable.
Yeah, I was going to say, Anna's somebody who I don't know her super well. And the amount that I've interacted with her, she is somebody that I would enjoy like having a cozy coffee, hang out, or, watch the premiere of Survivor with.
Right.
Which we did.
Exactly, yeah.
So.
Great. There's Anna. Next up is Cody. Cody is from Ohio. I think he's the only, outside of Elizabeth, who traveled from across the pond to come play. He may be the only out-of-state player here. Cody's somebody that we met that weekend. He was connected to us via another one of the players that we'll get to later, who, I guess was at a birthday party where the theme was Survivor, and they played a Survivor type game, condensed compared to Outlast. That's how he met another friend of ours, and so they got connected to Outlast and the application that way, and really excited to see Cody out here to play. Definitely somebody who's invested, again, traveling across states to be here. It's, no small feat.
He's also a therapist, and so I think that really, I don't know, we've seen therapists play Survivor and have a really good handle on the social game. So I think that's what he's potentially coming in with. and, leaning in on that, along with his understanding and being a big fan of Survivor. So
yeah.
I think a surprising fact with Cody is that I don't know if there's a big reveal, but he's bald.
Why is that?
Were you not there for that moment?
No.
There was like several people when he took his hat off. He was like, "Yep, I'm bald."
No way.
Yeah.
No, I didn't catch that. That's funny. Yeah, Cody's somebody who, so he, mentions in his bio a few times talking about that Survivor birthday game and how he had a strong alliance that he was betrayed by at the end. That was obviously front of mind for him. He talked about it a few times filling this out, and so something to watch for with him is his quickness or willingness to break an alliance, knowing that he could be on the receiving end of it. He also I think one of the more, I wouldn't say surprising based on his bio, but great shape. Dude's in great shape. He runs marathons. Somebody who has the potential to go out there and, depending on the type of challenge, could really crush an endurance style competition.
Yeah, well, you have like some people coming in wearing rompers that are, with tight sleeves, showing their muscles. And then you have Cody, and he can, hang with the best of them.
Yep. Okay, next on the Orange Tribe is Emily. Emily also is a friend of a friend. Emily, one of the more well-connected players on this cast, which we'll get to when we talk about her and a few other players. She's somebody who doesn't have a huge background in social strategy games or fandom of them, but has enough background in athletics and just social acumen that she certainly comes in with some backing too.
Yeah, I think as we were planning Outlast and asking people to play, it was at first just a little like, hopefully we have enough people. Mm-hmm. And, we ended up, having a few extra, luckily an alternate, etc.
Yeah. But
I think as we think about it in the future, it's great to have players like Emily who aren't a super fan, are here for a good time, and ready to jump in and enjoy the weekend and play the game.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like, Survivor does this too, right? Like, they've got people who, nowadays everybody on the show has seen the show, right? But, like, people who value different things. It's like if everybody who was on the show was somebody like me who listens to strategy podcasts, it would be a boring show. And so, Emily, who comes in valuing and maybe thinking more about the social game, the physical game, is something that is important to have. And again, it doesn't take anything away from her chances. I think
it brings some levity to the seriousness.
Sure.
Where, as we see maybe in real Survivor, is so many people crashing out or trying to make a move every moment, and it's, as you're producing something, you want some of these characters, I guess, who bring more depth or variety.
I'll bring it up because Emily brings it up in the show too, but one of the more well-connected players here. So her sister Anna is also playing. She's on the Green Tribe,
not to be confused with Anna.
Right. Anna, not Anna. She's on the same tribe as Ty, who we'll get to later, who they're friends. And then Sam on the Green Tribe is also a friend of Emily's. And so between the three of them, there's not a whole lot of social overlap here, but this kind of group is the most well-connected. And so, she says, early on that it's a conscious strategy, right, for her to try and downplay those relationships, but kind of lean on them at the same time.
Yeah, with the reality that when the game cuts at the end of the day, you're going to see some of those relationships, and when you're sharing a tent with your sister, it's hard to hide. Hard to downplay that.
Yeah, fair enough. So that's Emily. Next, we've got Hannah. Hannah is a friend of ours. I used to work with Hannah even before I knew that we shared a love for Survivor and social strategy games. I knew that I would be buds with Hannah because she revealed to we both worked in like a support role, and she revealed to me her in-depth, personally tracked metrics spreadsheet that she had been keeping because the people in charge were not keeping that, and she cared so much about being really good that she kept it herself. And I was like, hell yeah. We are the same. So yeah, Hannah's a big fan of the show. We've talked Survivor for a long time, and really excited to have Hannah out here playing.
Yeah, I think Hannah is a gamer and ready for that social strategy game. And really excited to see her in action just because we've been friends. We've watched Survivor together.
Yeah.
And, she's wanted to do this, and exciting to see it come to life for her and have the opportunity, for a lot of these super fans, it was just so cool to watch them, as well as to hear from them that this was such an incredible experience to get to play out a small version of what they've wanted to do for a long time.
Yeah.
I think Hannah is one of those.
Yeah, she's, and she says it in her bio, like, the key for her, in her estimation, and I would agree with this going into the game too, is like being able to rein in that like hyper analytical strategic part of her, keep herself from being too paranoid about situations that may be outside of her control, and also not scaring people off with how deeply she's running the numbers, right? Like if she can keep that to herself, it'll probably behoove her, because definitely somebody who is going to be thinking several steps ahead, but isn't like a robot either. She's warm and personable, and somebody that I think people will get along with. So yeah, I think Hannah's one that we were excited to see play. All right, next will be Isaac. Isaac, I actually went to high school with Isaac. We didn't go to the same high school, but we were in the same city, so we crossed paths that way and played softball with Isaac recently too. And I don't know, I don't think Isaac's always been a big Survivor guy, but he is certainly now. And so, after, we got this going, he was one of the first people that we thought of as like, this would be somebody who I think would enjoy playing this. And so the next member of the Orange Tribe is Isaac.
I think Isaac, what was looking forward to and seeing from him is, I don't know him super well other than playing softball. And this, I felt like, brought out a whole different side to him that obviously I don't know him super well, sure, but got to see him kind of in action. And, I think he's a really impressive person, and good socially, could hang in there with the best of them. Yeah. And so,
yeah, he's not a loud guy. He's not the first person you're going to notice, or the second, third, or fourth. But he's a super smart guy. He's easy to talk to. He's got wheels. He's really fast. So to the extent that will be valuable, brings that to the table. Yeah, I think Isaac's going to be the type of player that I think will, and this is a good thing, like blend in really well, where you almost forget about him until it's too late, and realize, oh man, this guy's been around and is now in control, right?
Right.
Yeah, because he's not going to be the first person that jumps off, the page at you, which I think is an asset in a game like this.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, on the other hand is Sky. Sky was one of our alternate last-minute replacements, and had no idea that she was interested in playing. So we know Sky a little bit. We've hung out a few times, but is closer friends with some friends of ours. But yeah, I would have asked Sky to play from moment one if I had any inkling that it was something she was interested in, because she's such a fun person. But when we needed an alternate, Amy, who's our primary producer, was like, "Oh, I'll ask Sky." And I was like, "Yes, please ask Sky. I would love for her to play." So yeah, she's the second, number 7 in our 8-person Orange Tribe.
In our bio sheet that we have here, it's blank because of the
Right.
late ad, and I think that is saying, speaks to Sky of what a wild card going into the game. Such a fun person, really ready to jump in, and I think all of life, right? Like,
Yeah.
And so it was exciting to see, okay, what is she going to do with this game that she doesn't know a ton about,
Right.
but she's ready to jump in, ready to have a good time.
Yeah.
And we just had no idea what to expect.
Totally. Yeah. Self-admitted, like, not well versed in Survivor or social strategy games. We were saying Isaac, is not going to be not the loudest person in the room, not the first person you notice. Sky is going to be the loudest person in the room and the first person you notice, which is great.
Yeah.
is great for this. She's impossible to miss, and she brings so much fun.
Brings the vibes.
So much excitement. Yeah, tons of great vibes. And, even though she comes in without a whole lot of, social strategy experience or direct knowledge, that kind of personability, like, can get you really far in a game like this. It's gonna, if you are able to get deep into the game, make you a threat to win just because you're so front of mind to everybody.
Well,
and so, like, getting to see how Sky adapts to, a game that she's maybe unfamiliar with, and kind of learning on the fly with that, personality and, like, winning attitude and effectiveness, like, is, I think, exciting.
And professionally, she's in marketing or adjacent, right? So I think, yeah, she's got that big personality, but can also professionally knows how to craft, a persona or
Sure.
a brand. So really good assets coming into the game.
Yeah. Okay, last but not least for the Orange Tribe is Ty, another person who we met for the first time that weekend. We mentioned already, friends with Emily and Sam from the other tribe, and Anna. Ty's a golf pro, and pretty athletic guy, big fan of the show, and yeah, somebody who brings a really well-rounded sort of set of skills to the table.
Like, if this was a regular Survivor bio, I would have asked, like, what players do you resonate with, or who's your favorite type of player, and found out from Ty his is the challenge guy.
Right.
But he's so he really identifies with that, or wants to identify with that, or really enjoys that. But also what we learned from Ty is that he's so much more than that as well.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really exciting to see, in such a short amount of time, being able to see not just Ty, but all of these people really dive in and show all of the, how everyone's so multifaceted.
Yeah. Like I said, Ty's somebody that we met that weekend, but I'm really glad that he played, and really glad that we did meet him. Ty's a great guy. Like, I could be buddies with Ty, coming out of this. And I think that, like, I don't know, when you read the bio, like, sometimes you roll your eyes a little bit at the, like, as a golf pro, I have to navigate the, like, ego-driven politics of the greens, and you're like, all right, whatever. But it's a thing that you really see out, like, no, I get it. Like, he is good at talking to people, good at being diplomatic, but in a package that maybe you wouldn't expect that from, because he's a college athlete. he works in sports, right?
Yeah.
But he's not just a jock. He is good at, not just talking to people, but being diplomatic and brokering things.
Yeah, he's not just a big dumb sports boy.
Yeah. So that's the Orange Tribe. A thing that I tried really hard to do when dividing these tribes up, kind of philosophically, was obviously trying to balance things physically as best as I could, trying to separate as many players who know each other the best I could. And so, for people like Ty and Emily who know each other, that's really the only pre-existing connection on this tribe. The lesser of two evils was putting these two together rather than putting Ty with Sam or putting Emily with Anna, who I think the relationships there are closer. So it's the reasoning for that. And also trying to, separate out some of the people that I expect to be big strategic people, people who are maybe big personalities, try and separate them out as best as possible. So I don't know, as we were going into this, what were you thinking about the Orange Tribe as far as like maybe who would work well together, who would maybe not really form a connection, how you thought they would do as a whole?
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned this, but Sky and Adam do know each other a little bit, have hung out a few times. So I was curious if they would pair up. Was curious if Anna and Hannah would pair up, or if there would be a girls' alliance.
Yeah.
I really actually was thinking too that I could see Isaac and Adam getting along really well, but then could become quite a threat.
Sure.
So those are my kind of initial thoughts going in, just based very loosely off of knowing those people, right? And the people I didn't mention, Emily or Ty, I didn't know them going into it, so didn't quite, or Cody, didn't know quite what to expect with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, when you take the measure of them as a whole, like, it's a pretty physically strong group, too. There's not really an obvious weak link. I think that, like we said, Cody and Ty are kind of the people who stand out the most physically, but nobody here is really a slouch. You could maybe look at a few and see that there's maybe like some types of challenges that they would struggle with, but I think this was one that I don't know, we could, while Ty and Cody seem like the physically maybe the most gifted, there's also not anybody here that's gonna, like, I don't know, that's really blowing you away physically, right? So they're kind of an fairly even tribe as far as that goes. Whereas we'll see from the Green Tribe, maybe there's a little bit more variance there, maybe some higher highs with a little bit lower lows as far as what we would have expected physically. Any other thoughts about the Orange Tribe broadly?
I don't think so. I think great group of people. I'm glad that we paired them all together, and was excited for everyone to see, how it actually played out.
Cool. All right, well, let's move on to the Green Tribe. Again, we'll go alphabetically here, and first up is Abby. We both know Abby in different ways. Jen works with Abby. I went to college with Abby. And yeah, she's somebody who applied pretty late, and it was because she was really nervous to do it. And in her bio, she talks about it a lot, of like how like vulnerable and scary it is to sign up for something like this, because she's such a big fan of Survivor. She like cares so much about the game that to sign up for something like this and like do poorly would be really hard to deal with. And that's like, I don't know, such an exciting energy to kind of come into the game with, of somebody who is going to take this incredibly seriously, whether for better or for worse.
Yeah, I Abby had shared with me that she was so, and I think so many people resonated with this, not just Abby, but you're so scared to play and be the first one booted out.
Yeah.
Or get all the way to the end and not win.
Yeah.
And so, it's like if I play, I have to win, or I want to do well because there's no room for not doing well. Yeah. And I think with Abby specifically, I was really looking forward to seeing her play because she's really strategic, can manage social situations well.
Yep.
And then also physically really fit.
Yeah.
Your girl does Pilates, probably goes to the climbing gym.
Sure.
Pretty sure. Like, somebody who can do both.
Yeah.
And see, in some situations though, right, when you get into Survivor, you think, oh, I have this, or I can do this. And, seeing, okay, which one will she lean on? Or will she be able to, do all of it, Yeah. So exciting to see her be able to play a game that she loves.
Yeah. It's like she maybe brought the most intensity into the weekend, just kind of her energy. It was clear, to anyone paying attention that she's like not here to mess around, not just here for a fun weekend. Like, she's here to win. And yeah, it's a sort of thing that goes really well if you stay focused and you execute on it. Goes really bad if people catch up on it too fast, you intimidate people, people aren't on board with what you're going for. It could blow up really fast and, be pretty heartbreaking. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But definitely one of those people on paper that going into it, you can see the way that this could work out really well for her. Next is Anna. So this is not Hannah. This is Emily's sister. Anna is on the Green Tribe. Again, somebody that we met that weekend. Somebody who has to work in social situations in her everyday life. She talked about on the mat at the beginning of the game that she's a more introverted person, and so she's excited to kind of test herself by being in a situation where you've got to have some extroversion to succeed. And so, yeah, this is Anna, the second person on the Green Tribe.
Yeah, I do see her coming into the game as a quiet threat, as far as she has people that she knows. Yeah, I can just see Anna as a quiet threat coming in, not sharing that she's a huge fan of the game or, here for a good time or however, and so people may not take her seriously, but she has the ability from her day-to-day, from her connections across both tribes to, potentially make it pretty far.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody who I think is going to be maybe a tough read, which I think will work in her favor. I think she's somebody who has a high EQ, so the ability to kind of navigate those social situations will be there for her. We'll see how she can tie it all together. I realize now that this is in not true alphabetical order because L comes before N. So Allie should have been before Anna, but next is Allie. Yet another person that we met this weekend. I actually play ball with a friend of Allie's who sent her the application knowing that she loves a challenge, that she likes shows like Survivor. And so Allie was somebody that I was excited to see out here. Talked a lot about the physical challenge, the strength that she brings in that sense. She wanted to prove to her kids that she would do a good job. Is one of the first things she said to us when she arrived, is how her I don't know, teenager or preteen was like ragging on her, being like, "Oh, you're gonna be out first." So yeah, excited to see her game.
Yeah, I'm excited that Allie really does bring, the competitive edge.
Yeah.
Really ready to play. I think it says a lot about a person or any of these people who don't know anyone coming in, who's willing to jump into a weekend.
Totally.
And give it your all. And I just think it's so cool to see a whole bunch of grown adults doing that.
For sure.
So I really was excited to get to know Allie, and she was first one there to
That's true. Yeah.
To get set up, and so was excited to see her jump in and play the game.
Yeah. Yeah, really great shape. Cares a lot about fitness, so is hoping to bring a lot of that edge to the challenges and the more physical components too. Okay, next up, number 4 on green is Dan. Dan is somebody that I crossed paths with several years ago. We went on a trip together, and we talked a lot about Survivor on that trip with me and him and a couple other guys that were fans of the show. I think when I posted stuff to social media, Dan was one of the first people to respond and reshare and apply for it. So Dan was not on my initial cast list. We had a few drop just because I didn't know Dan as well as some of the other people, and now I really couldn't imagine not having him on the show. He's got great energy. He's frenetic in the best way. Cares a whole lot about Survivor. He told me that he wanted to play like Tony, which was music to my ears. So yeah, Dan is the next member of the Green Tribe.
Yeah, Dan's such a great guy, and going in, was again curious of the multifaceted nature of his ability to be really physically fit, but also strategic, and see that play out. And just ultimately, came away thinking, what a great guy.
Yeah. Really outgoing, kind of the Sky of this tribe as far as probably the most outgoing, biggest personality in this group. And yeah, like you said, he's plays a ton of rec sports, is going to bring a physical edge out there. Self-admitted, he's bad at puzzles. So, he says, I think going through the footage of the Green Tribe at camp, one of the first things he asks the rest of the group is like, hey, so is anybody here good at puzzles? Because I'm not. So don't be looking for him to finish a puzzle leg. All right, next is David. David's a good friend of ours. We met through co-working, and then, have gotten to be pretty good friends. Outside of that, we are currently going through a sort of Survivor backlog journey with David and a few other friends. So he's somebody who's well-versed in the show now. I think it's something that he picked up here in just the last few years, but has watched just about all of it in that time. So yeah, David's somebody who's really personable. He's really kind, really caring.
A really great cat dad.
Great cat dad.
Yeah.
And yeah, brings with him, a relational based sort of game plan that he's hoping, will carry him.
Yeah, it was kind of similar to Adam, similar feelings about David, where, in thinking about the tribes, I feel like I definitely saw them on different tribes from the start because they feel kind of similar to me. And just really good guys, really easy hangs.
Yeah.
and gonna be able to really blend in at the start, which is I think I don't know, that's what I would want to do.
Yeah.
To get a little bit further in the game and be a good team player, which I think he has going for him. And I was really excited to see him play a game that we've watched together.
Right. Yeah, he's, quick to admit in his bio that his physical game may be a weak link. But, he's not totally lost out there when it comes to that. We play volleyball together and he's fine. But, isn't necessarily going to be your anchor leg super buff guy necessarily. But yeah, excited for David's game. Going to definitely be one of the subtler relationship-based ones out there.
And then I can't talk about David without talking about Liz, which is his partner who helped in the kitchen, running around.
Yeah.
Thank you, David, for Liz. Thank you, Liz. You were amazing.
Yep.
Kept us all afloat, really.
Truly the unsung hero of the weekend.
Yes.
She
many times.
Capped it off by finding an SD card that I had misplaced at the very end of the game that would have maybe ruined the entire weekend for me if I was unable to find it. So,
but yeah, we were searching the entire tribal council, sifting through leaves, and Liz came in and found it.
Yep. God bless.
Thanks, Liz.
Just a few more here. Next is Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a friend of mine from several years ago, and yeah, we kind of met and bonded over Survivor. She is the biggest Survivor fan I know. She's a patron of Rob as a podcast. She's got an encyclopedic knowledge of the game. Played Quarantine Island every time that we did that, kind of like Anna. And yeah, brings, the most well-rehearsed, I think, strategic gameplay to the table here of anybody on the cast. And you could get that just by reading the bios. Like, again, it's always an open question with players like that, whether that plays out well or whether it's so much so fast that everyone's like, whoa, they're a threat or we're not ready yet, and it doesn't land. So, somebody who we were really excited to see out there.
Yeah, Elizabeth, I was so excited to watch play because I know how much she loves Survivor, and I think very highly of Elizabeth, but was very highly. I think I was really, just going in so hopeful for her game while also so scared.
Yeah.
Because of exactly what you were saying. Will it all come crashing down?
Yeah.
So quickly? Will she get to the end? What kind of player is she actually going to be?
Yeah.
Or how will people perceive her, right? And so you could say that just about anybody, but I think knowing her she came all the way from Germany.
Yeah.
So it just like aligned that the weekend worked for when she was back in the States. So it just felt really good that she was able to play.
Yeah.
I would have been so sad if she couldn't have played because it was one of those things where we didn't know if we were ever going to do this again. Like, is this a one-time thing? And it just felt really right that Elizabeth was playing.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think she finished runner-up or close to it both times we did Quarantine Island. Like, she, in, experience of this, I guess, somewhat similar game has been like a close but no cigar player just about every time. And so you wonder how that may affect her calculus. Does she try to be a little bit more visible and get to the end with a better chance of winning votes or what? But yeah, somebody who, again, she told us, I think, that a way that she, like numbs her brain to go to sleep is by like reciting the final four of every Survivor season in order. So, you know, somebody with that level of knowledge and understanding is going to bring an expert level of what to expect and a premeditated game plan to something like this.
Yeah, and you wonder, how does a player like this do when there is a physical element
Sure.
to, you know, winning individual immunity or group challenges? What
Right.
if you know, there isn't a puzzle or so in the first challenges and you know, are that easy first boot? And so it was just really interesting to see how she would navigate that.
For sure. Okay, next to last is Jake. Jake, yet another player that we met that weekend. Jake is just such a lovely guy. One of, you know, the nicest folks out there. He was a friend of a friend, so that's how he was connected. But Jake went into this weekend as somebody that I like really viewed as another one of those really well-rounded potential threats. Like, he's, again, a fan of the show, so he's got a knowledge of the game. He's in good shape. He works as a steel fabricator, and so he's strong, but also skilled. And, you know, you spend like 10 seconds talking to Jake and you like the guy, right? So a very winning type personality. So, if he's able to, he says it in the bio, but he identifies his risk of kind of missing the forest for the trees, kind of losing the details of the situation. And so, if he's able to stay locked in, which is going to be tough for everybody, then could be somebody to keep an eye on for the other players out there.
Yeah, I had no idea what to expect with Jake. Never met Jake, and just Jake is just so fantastic and such a great person, and was really, you know, great to see their game and a game that they love. So really glad that they came out and played.
Yeah, Jake, definitely one of those triple threats and somebody that I had to keep an eye on when building challenge or building tribes, because I'm like, this is somebody who could just be a hoss out there and like carry a team to a victory. So had to keep that in mind when balancing the tribes. Okay, last but not least is Sam. Sam's been mentioned a couple times already because he's one of the more well-connected players out here. I've said that about a few people, but Sam, friends with Ty, Emily, and Anna, also knows Adam and Emily as well. So, well, I already said Emily. But
Sky.
And Sky, yeah. So Sam is kind of a relational touch point here, but at least early on, the only person on his tribe that he knows ahead of time is Anna. But anyway, Sam, another well-rounded guy, not the hugest social strategy catalog or knowledge, but like we've said with a few people, Sam is like just one of the most charming, instantly likable guys I know.
It helps that he has an Australian accent.
Yeah, he's an Aussie, so that at least you perk up, at least initially, but you could have an accent and still be a jerk, but he's not. So, Sam in great shape. He kicked my ass in a strategy game that we played last winter. This type of person who's super adaptable. He lived out of a van for a long time. Just has the tools to MacGyver stuff and find a way to get stuff done. Not just physically, but like with his brain too.
Yeah, I think how I like to describe Sam is we knew Sam, I feel like, for a very short period of time. Yeah. And because he's dating our really good friend, and he showed up. I don't think she could come.
Yeah.
But he showed up and helped us move into our house.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hi, I'm Jen.
Right.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
I met you once. And he moved the worst couch in the history of the world up those stairs. So, just a really great guy.
He is.
And also somebody who I thought if we were actually surviving, he could survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that wasn't part of it. But
No.
I was really excited to see him play. And I think, going in was a little bit like, I think he's just doing it to have fun and have a good time, and I'm excited to see how far he goes and who he connects with on his tribe, since, we know several people. He doesn't know as many people on his tribe as he knows, on the other tribes.
Yeah.
So how will that work? How will that kind of shape out?
Yeah. Really even keel guy, like, really chill, overused, but not somebody who's gonna like blow up on anyone. And really good shape. He was another person that I had to look at when balancing tribes, as like, this could be the physically imposing threat of the season. So just can't overstate how much of just a selfless, kind individual he is, and that alone, in a game that is primarily about social connections, makes him a threat, whether or not he's got, tons of social strategy experience or backlog. So let's talk about the Green Tribe as we look at it overall. Like I kind of alluded to before, this is a tribe that's maybe a little more top-heavy, at least as you would expect them physically. People like Jake and Sam and Dan, Allie and Abby are looking really strong. Some of the other players, maybe you go into it not expecting as much from them physically, but hopefully it all evens out in a similar way. Is there any other observations you had or like potential connections that you saw here?
Yeah, I think because I know both of them, I was really hoping that Elizabeth and Abby would get to know each other, pair up, or work together in some way. And then similarly, wanted David in that mix, or David and Sam. I was because it's these kind of merging of different worlds for us.
Sure.
Where it's like my coworker and your coworker, can they work together?
Sure.
So, just excited to see these people who we know, see how they pair up and if they pair up together.
Yeah.
And I was really looking to see, okay, is this going to be a really dominant, like physically dominant tribe that then they just fall flat on strategy, or there's so many physically dominant players, is, the more strategic David and Elizabeth, are they going to stick out?
Sure.
And be immediate targets for being a more strategic player.
Yeah.
As early easy boots kind of thing. So
yeah, it's always like an interesting question when you look at, you brought up Elizabeth and Abby, and they're probably the most extreme examples of this in the game. Like when you have people that are both taking it very seriously, care a lot about the game, want to play strategically, do they team up out of a shared respect, or do they antagonize each other because they see each other as threats, right? And so that's probably the most obvious example that'll be interesting to see. I think you can like throw Dan into that mix too, as somebody who's also coming in looking to play hard. Like, do those players team up, or do they form an instant sort of rivalry? And then like, again, somebody like Sam, somebody like Jake are the type of people you expect to get along with anyone. And so, yeah, there's a lot. I think this tribe, maybe even more so than the other one, there's like infinite permutations of how like alliances could break down here.
Yeah.
Based on some of those things we talked about. Okay, anything else? I will say, like, I maybe said it in the last episode, and we'll say it several times more, like, this cast is so great. I am so happy with the level of gameplay and buy-in that they brought. I think the number one thing you worry about, or at least that I worried about when doing something like this, is like, will people take it seriously and try hard and like bring us something cool to watch and experience? And the answer was yes.
And times 10, like,
yeah. And so
much better than I ever thought,
for sure.
And it all in the first day, like first couple of hours, I think I had this moment where I was like, oh shoot, this is about to be so fun and really interesting, and I'm so excited to see what happens while simultaneously running all over the place and not able to actually see everything that happens.
Yeah. And so, like, all that credit goes to the cast for showing up, like, willing to buy in and play hard. I think that, like, buying in is the biggest thing, right? Like, the worst thing that can happen is get out there and people are just like, oh, I don't know, like, vote me out. I don't care. Like, I'll just hang out. Like, that's not fun for anyone.
Or because
there was none of that. So, really grateful for the cast, and to a person, like literally to a person, there was not one person who was kind of like a bummer, or just kind of threw the towel in. Everybody fought, everybody played hard. Really, really cool stuff.
Which I think is really impressive in the context that they had such little time that first day, or the second, like all of it happened so fast. And so it was a thought going into it that you really worked really hard at planning to say, okay, how can we make sure that we give them some room to get to know each other and play, while still progressing the production and the game so that we are not wasting time. And so I think that, we learned a lot along the way, and mostly was so grateful that they all jumped in so quickly and started playing the game right away. And then also, maybe this isn't the time, but so much, shout outs to the players, but shout out to the crew, who gave a lot, and threw themselves into it. A lot of them not having a lot of experience, and it was an exhausting several days of running around a very large property.
For sure,
And I think just everyone, the whole group, the whole weekend, it was just one of those experiences where I kind of walked away just feeling how rare this feels, because you can't remake this. You can have another weekend like this, but it's going to be so specific to then that group of people. And each person made up that weekend of people coming in certain days and helping with production, or, even the timing of which players left the game, right? Like, all of it really made it such a beautiful and rare experience that I think, as we may speak to later, or, we'll even see in the produced version, is how everyone really, bonded over the weekend, and, spent a lot of time after the weekend, couldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to respond to there, but like the, cast, obviously great. The crew couldn't have done it without them. Like, we can shouts, all the crew. Special shouts to Amy, who was our like lead producer. Took a whole lot of weight off of my back having to think about that. She did an excellent job, and I knew that as soon as she said that she was interested, that there's nobody else I'd rather have taking that job. And so very grateful to her. Thanks to our other producers, that would be Nate, Daniel, Sam, Mac, Sarah, who all pitched in to run cameras, all did an excellent job. Casey was our challenge builder. I was so impressed with Casey. He was another person that we like met that weekend, and to like be so bought in and like in his element putting that stuff up. Dude did not cut corners at all.
We were so behind on one challenge and putting it together, and hardcore, just all hands on deck who could.
Yeah.
He looked at me at one point and was like, I was like, just cut that. It'll be fine. Just cut it. He was like, no, Alex wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we're doing it. And he, you know, was just working so hard.
Yeah.
And did such a great job.
Yeah, dude did a great job. Then we already mentioned Liz, who was kind of our jackknife, Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades. That was a mixing of metaphors, but to jackknife is to like really wreck your car. So not that. Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades. And then Carolyn, who also kind of helped out and pitched in a lot of different ways that was really valuable. Is that everyone?
Yeah.
I think so. A lean crew, but a highly effective one. So thank you to everybody there. And then I think the next thing that you're going to hear from or see from us on the feed will be episode 1 of Outlast. I don't think there's really anything else for us to set the stage with. I'm thinking that these episodes will probably be like a half hour-ish. There'll be an episode per round, like on Survivor, so should have lots of stuff to watch here coming up soon. I don't know how much to set up the first episode. If you watch Survivor, you'll have an idea of what to expect. There'll be a kind of a marooning, so to speak, and then we'll get into the game. Yeah, and like you said, that we hit the ground running here. It's not like a snoozer. The first episode is exciting and interesting, so yeah, can't wait for y'all to see it. I'm like, maybe I would say between halfway and 2/3 way done with the edit of the first one right now, and yeah, really happy with how it's turning out. All right, cool. Well, that's going to do it for us here. Again, I think the next thing that'll hit your feed will be episode 1 of Outlast, so stay tuned. The official Discord is linked in the description here, so if you're a fan of Outlast, you can join the Discord. That's going to be your best way to chat about the show and stay apprised of new releases and everything. And subscribe to the YouTube channel here so that you don't miss an upload. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.